Hey everyone, Chris here. Welcome back to the channel. And this video is going to be about a family trip that we took down to Tennessee. And we got to see a whole bunch of train related stuff. So sit right back and let's get started. The first stop that I forced my family to make was along the way. And I stopped off in a train store called Dan's Trains. It's just north of Knoxville. And I'd spent a little bit of time before we got on the road and recce'd out places that actually sold N-scale stuff. And I heard pretty good reviews about Dan's Trains. It's not actually owned by Dan anymore. It's, I believe, owned by a gentleman named Rick. But once I got inside, very friendly people, and they had a decent selection of stuff, especially for N-scale. I was pretty impressed with the amount of N-scale that they had. And what I'd like to try to do is pick up stuff that represents the area that I'm in, so kind of like a souvenir. So the shopkeeper there had indicated that CSX and Norfolk Southern are the common ones in the Tennessee area. So after looking around, I was able to come across one CSX item that I didn't already have. They had quite a few boxcars, but I already have some of those. So this CSX intermodal trailer, so it's a nice little souvenir of the area, and something else for the intermodal yard as well. Once we got to Pigeon Forge and got ourselves settled, we spent the first couple days at a place called Dollywood. And of course, for me, the highlight of going to Dollywood was they have a steam train called the Dollywood Express. And this steam train takes passengers throughout the park as well as up a small portion of the Smoky Mountains. And the steam trains that they have operating are number 70 here, and this one is called Cinderella, and they have another one called Klondike Katy. And both of these were originally operating in the Alaska area. They were built just before and during the Second World War and were primarily used for troop transports and equipment transport during the Second World War, and then found themselves moving from owner to owner until they both ended up down here in Tennessee working for the park down here.
On the count of three, then I'll tell the engineer, blow the whistle. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Blow the whistle. Casey and Cinderella, a round of applause.
So if you like those smoky, snorty steam trains, then it's definitely worth a visit, especially if you're at Dollywood. You can see and hear the train going all throughout the park, so no matter where you end up, then you'll hear the whistle going and hear it chugging up through parts of the Smoky Mountains. So it's definitely a sight to see and certainly an experience to get to ride on. Now, one thing that we totally lucked out on, which we didn't even realize at the time, we had gone for 2 days, and the first day was actually scheduled to be raining the entire day, but we decided to chance it and hoping that the crowds would be a little bit more subdued. So we went there on the first day with the intent of doing all the rides that we could, and then the second day was just sort of going to be catch up. So on that first day, we got to go on the train as well as do all the other rides for the kids and all the roller coasters and all that. And by the time we were able to come back the next day, the capacity of the park was almost exceeded. It seemed like it was jam-packed. It was hard to move around, and as you can see, the number of people that were waiting for the train is astronomical. So we really lucked out when we went on the train on the first day, because we literally walked right onto the train and had no problems getting seats, versus if we waited till the second day, I don't think me or the kids would have wanted to sit around and wait. Definitely lucked out on that, but it's still a very cool experience and I highly recommend it to anyone if you're in the Pigeon Forge and Dollywood area. Of course, the Dollywood experience wouldn't be complete without a couple souvenirs, so found myself a Cinderella tree ornament as well as a new long sleeve shirt. The final part of the trip was what actually started it all. My wife found this caboose available for rental, and we decided to book it, and the rest of the trip was actually planned around that. It's listed as a 1916 red caboose and seems to be owned by one company, and the bookings are managed through another. I was curious, being a train nerd, to know a little bit more about the caboose, but when I messaged the owners, I was told it was a 1918 CSX caboose, which sounds pretty hard since CSX only goes back to the 1980s. When I inquired a little bit more about the reporting marks and the history, I guess I was asking too many questions and they never responded to me anymore. From their Facebook page, it seems like they've stripped it down from its original steel frame and then rebuilt on top of it, so there's not much left of the original caboose. They've built the caboose beside a replica train depot, and the caboose holds the living room, kitchen, and kids' room with the bunk beds, and the depot holds the king-size bed, bathroom, as well as the hot tub. Outside, they have a fenced-in area that has the fire pit, barbecue, and a seating area, so you can enjoy some outside time too. The inside has been beautifully finished, and as a wannabe woodworker, I can appreciate this even more. It's decorated with various train-related decor, and it has a very cozy cabin feel to it. The stay, though, didn't go without any challenges. One is that we couldn't actually figure out the electrical. There are so many light switches. In fact, I counted them, and there's 41 in total. And we couldn't figure out what even half of them did. Another thing worth noting is that you're actually located on a main road. One night in the hot tub, I actually thought that Pigeon Forge was burning down because there were so many fire trucks flying by lights and sirens. By the time we got here, Dollywood was already closed for the season, but this is the main access road to the park, so I couldn't imagine how busy it would be during their peak time or during the summertime. The final issue, which I still don't quite know exactly who to entirely blame for this, but we had an issue with one of the bunks. The top bunk, clearly some kid before my daughter got there, had peed the bed. Luckily, it only got the foam topper and the sheets, so we were able to strip those off and she could still actually sleep. But we called the booking company the next day, and they said that they'd have someone come around and sort it out, and that was the last we heard from anyone. Most importantly, the kids didn't dwell on that part, and they still seemed to enjoy their experience and the trip overall. It was a fun trip, despite any of the little challenges, and most importantly, we have lots of good memories from it. I already missed the US food, but it's also good to be home and now get back to the layout. And not to worry, I didn't leave the Smoky Mountains without some moonshine. Thanks for watching.